TYT Sports, happy Friday, everyone. Happy Passover to all my fellow Hebrews. Bringing in J. Michael Falgust of USA Today. J. Michael, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. So?
Good to hear. However, in Orlando, they're not doing as good as we are, it appears. Stan Van Gundy and Dwight Howard, the drama that is going on there is really unbelievable. I want to play you a few videos and sound bites before yesterday's game in their 96-80 loss against the Magic. Here's Stan Van Gundy asking, how do you know it is true, as in the rumor of Dwight Howard asking management to get him fired?
I was told it was true by people in our management. So, right from the top.
Okay, so there you hear it. He says right from the top. So clearly, it appears it must be true. So now, when asked when you talk to management, will they listen to him, and will it be a management decision? And he says it's going to be a management decision. He's not worried about that. And then this happens.
But I ain't worried about that. So.
Yeah, Stan, we're not worried about that, right?
That's what I just said. We got to be worried about winning games.
Yeah, what's our main concern right now? Jameer.
We have to stop Carmelo Anthony and the New York Knicks tonight.
And the New York Knicks.
That's exactly
That's
right.
the plan, right?
That is the plan. That's what I just said.
Okay, completely awkward. I think we can all agree. And then Dwight goes on and attacks WKMG-TV's sports directors in Orlando, Florida. The sports director is Dave Pingalore, who he calls Dave Ping, as he reported it on Wednesday. And now Dwight Howard is asked by reporters if these stories are true.
Come on, man. Yeah, the stories from Dave Ping are true.
Stan just said they were true.
Yeah. What's true?
Stan just said that you wanted him fired.
I said that?
Yeah, that's what Stan said.
Who did I say that to?
According to
I don't know. I'm just telling you.
I'm asking you, since you guys got so many sources.
Your coach said he heard it from Manny.
I didn't hear anything.
I'm just telling you what
And I'm just telling you.
Poor attitude, poor body language from Dwight Howard. I think we can all agree on that, being very snarky and snappy at those reporters. So now they lost 96-80. Dwight Howard, 8 points, 8 rebounds in 40 minutes of play, so some pretty weak numbers. Again, the Knicks did not have Jeremy Lin. They did not have Amari Stoudemire. The Magic have lost 5 straight. They're currently in the 6th spot in the Eastern Conference. So let me ask you this. Do you think that with all this turmoil going on, that the Magic still make the playoffs?
I mean, they'll still make the playoffs simply because the only other team outside of the top 8 that could make the playoffs is the Milwaukee Bucks. So hypothetically, the Magic drop all the way to the 8th spot. There's not going to be another team that jumps up. Milwaukee's not going to jump up and take their place, I don't think. And there's not another team behind Milwaukee that can kind of push the envelope. So the Eastern Conference isn't anything like the Western Conference. If this was a Western Conference, yes, I'd say definitely that would be an issue.
Do you think that Stan Van Gundy, and look, he seems like a good dude, because he seems just very straightforward, very honest with the reporters and the tough questions that he is being asked. I love the way he sips the Diet Pepsi, by the way, respecting his team's numbers. Do you think that he finishes the season, and what do you expect, if he does, for next season?
I mean, I think he does finish the season simply because if you fire Van Gundy, you're pretty much going to have to gut that entire staff. And I just think it's too late in the ball game for them to make some sort of change like that, unless Stan does something or says, look, Stan's not going to quit, because if he quits, he's owed another year's salary, and he would forfeit that by quitting. So they would have to fire him. But I see him last in the season. I mean, look, can it get any worse than this? I don't know if I should ask that question, but I don't think it could get any worse. But they're going to be probably a first-round casualty, and as soon as that's over, I expect the Magic to clean house, not only coach and staff. There's probably going to be some front office types whose heads are going to roll, and whoever the front office person was who told Van Gundy about Howard wanting him fired is probably going to be on that hit list as well.
Do you think that this is a situation between Stan Van Gundy and Dwight Howard and all this drama that has gone on? Do you think it is a situation that absolutely, positively cannot be fixed?
Yes, it can't be fixed at this point. There's no trust. But, even more so, I mean, Stan can't trust Dwight. Dwight doesn't trust Stan for putting him out there. And probably neither guy trusts management. I mean, if you're Dwight Howard, how can I go to management and tell them what I feel about something if they're going to run out to the coach and tell them exactly what I said? I mean, so I just think this is so bad, so all the way around that, I think eventually, other than, Stan's obviously going to go at the end of the season. And I question, even when Dwight waived his right to become a free agent, I was initially, during the trade deadline, I was still questioning, how much longer he would be there.
It's just surprising to me that the Bulls, without Derrick Rose, are still better than the Magic with Dwight Howard. So with all these antics, why would a team want to invest their time, invest their money into a guy who just wants the spotlight on him all the time and, quite frankly, complains all the time?
Well, the problem that Dwight has, is that he wants to be liked and he wants to be loved. And he wants to try to keep this good guy image up in front of the cameras. He's been very duplicitous through this entire situation. And I think, if anything, the biggest thing to me it shows is when Stan Van Gundy is standing there and Dwight comes up to hug him. It shows how duplicitous he's been. And I think any goodwill that he had salvaged or that he had maintained with Stan in Orlando past the trade deadline, he's lost that and then some. He needs to make up his mind, and I don't know if he ever will. What kind of guy is he going to be? If he's going to be the kind of guy that's going to go to the management and say, "I want the coach fired," he should just own up to it. And I think people, even if they disagree with you, could respect you for at least owning up to it. But if you're trying to play both sides against the middle, I don't think most people have patience for that. And I just think his image has taken such a monstrous hit. I don't know if it's worth keeping him if I'm the Orlando Magic long term, only because he seems to be able to make you good enough. You're in a position where you're good enough to be a playoff team. You're good enough to beat some good teams on some nights, but you're not good enough to win a championship. So you're going to be kind of a middling team for the next, 5, 6, 7, 8 years if you keep him around. So what's the point in that? I would just rebuild.